Okay, Chris Skaggs, what's the name of your Code Monkeys?
Code Monkeys and Soma Games, yeah.
Yeah, and Soma Games. Oh, you were on stage the other day, right?
Yes.
That's where I remember now. And you've got apps in the AppUp store already?
Yeah, in fact, we just found out a minute ago that G, is under Soma Games, is one of the top 10 downloaded apps this week, so we're really excited for the launch.
Thanks. Spears on you tonight.
Yeah, I feel pretty excited about that.
So, just to be serious for a minute, how is the AppUp experience for you? How have you found it? And actually, we should start. Are you porting games over, or are you creating new games?
Both.
Right.
So we started with an iPhone game that we ported, and so that's G. That's the one that we're just telling you about. But then we've also started to develop games from scratch, especially using the Air. We're really excited about Air as a runtime.
Yeah.
We have a lot of really solid Flash and Flex experience in the shop, and that's a perfect platform.
Right.
So we got to engage with a lot of that, and some of the stuff Adobe was talking about with the free signing certificate and their immediate download, porting over from their own Air marketplace to AppUp. That's a big deal.
Wow. Yeah. So one of the things we've been asking devs is, in the porting process, how much manpower is going into that effort?
That's a case-by-case basis. So G, for example, probably took us 3 people about 3 weeks.
Okay.
So it wasn't a huge project, but it wasn't trivial. Other projects, it's a couple days.
Right.
So there's not a real good answer there.
Yeah, okay.
And then you get into some media projects, and that can be several months and several people.
Yeah. This Adobe Air element is pretty significant, right?
Yeah.
I mean, that's just, if you've got Air apps, how easy is it? Is it just a one button?
Especially if you've started with Flash, so it doesn't only have to be Air. So there are, I don't know how many millions of Flash developers.
So Flash games can go into this and down that channel. I didn't know that.
Moving from Flash into Air is really changing one object. It's that simple. And once that, now you've changed kind of its runtime, and it goes directly into AppUp. There's no Chrome, there's no browser, which makes everything much faster. And it's got all kinds of additional features like the file system, like network tools. It's a brilliant tool.
So if you're a developer and you've got a bunch of Flash apps that you aren't really monetizing, this sounds
absolutely
like a pretty perfect way to monetize those, right?
Go to Adobe, and they'll give you a code signing certificate, and they'll submit it to AppUp for you.
Right.
So now all of a sudden you're on the Air marketplace and theirs all together, and there's millions of Flash apps out there, and they let's be honest, they range from really lame to some really cool stuff.
Yeah,
and some of them have been fantastically popular. But Flash developers for years have been sort of kicked to the curb that they're not real programmers, right? But this gives a real sense of like this is big time. You know, you're up there and you're making money on what you're doing. You get rewarded for the deal.
So that's all positive. What about the bad sides? Anything you think should be improved with AppUp, the whole process with Intel?
You can always make it better, right? So there's always going to be things that we're going to be pushing for. So you always want it faster. You always want it to work better. But penetration right now is the thing that probably is the big deal. And then also the operating system. So where we're coming from, Windows becomes sort of a barrier in some cases, just because it has a tendency to slow down what we want to do.
Okay.
Which is why we're excited about Migo. We hope that really takes off.
Right.
But that's a hardware question. It's not exactly a complaint that you can turn around and fix. I think the best thing is that we started our experience with Apple with the iPhone, and just no disrespect to Apple, but when you do that, you're totally on your own, right? I mean, you submit your app, it works or it doesn't. No one's going to talk to you. These guys have really engaged with us in a genuine way. Like, we were literally on the phone with them in the middle of the night. Why isn't this working? And they'll go crunch through the code and find out what's wrong.
Hearing that a lot, but we have to say this is early days for AppUp, and they are investing a lot of time. Being very nice to people. There's money going around the light there, so we have to be careful when we say it's like that. But anyway, it is sounding quite good. All positive. Anything else you would like to say to Intel about AppUp or Migo or anything?
A couple things that we're excited about. One is I want to know what Peter Biddle's going to say about 10 minutes. He mentioned a thought about curation, which if that means what I think it means from the word, that's going to make a huge difference to developers. Instead of just throwing more and more wood into a pile and all of a sudden it's nail in the haystack stuff. It sounds like they've got a whole structure involved to start sorting.
Well, that's part of the whole App Store system, is that you can actually build an App Store with only the apps in that you want. Maybe that's what he's going to be talking about, that you can actually filter apps and just create new App Stores.
Something like that could be really good.
Really nice. As a publisher myself, I would be quite interested in having an App Store with only stuff in that I've curated and that are interesting to my readers. and also I think get some revenue from as well.
This is where the strength of you've got this mob sourcing thing, right? You want to get as many people engaged, but they only have to do a little bit of work.
Yeah.
You try to bring all that in house, you're going to get crushed. But if you can distribute that out, then you just maybe you like 10 apps. And so that's something that's not a burden to you. But people can trust you. You're their trust agent. They go in and they know what you're doing.
Let's see what Peter talks about in a minute.
Yeah.
Thanks for your time, Chris.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, take care.
So this time here at the AppUp Elements, we're checking out Bvlgari. Morten is from Norwegian company, right?
Yeah, it's a UK-based
company.
But we have the head office in Denmark, so that's why I'm sitting in Denmark.
Cool. And you're talking about your security suite, internet security app for networks, right?
Yeah, that's correct.
And you are developing it for AppUp.
That's correct.
So why AppUp? Why are you putting it there?
Well, actually, we saw a lot of market potential going forward with AppUp. We definitely see that a lot of Intel AppUp devices are coming into the market now. And we think that the AppUp was a very good opportunity to use that new market space coming forward. We know that next year Intel is going to be targeting at more than 100 million netbooks going into the market. So I think there's a lot of consumer potential there. We know that now Best Buy is moving into that space as well. We got Dixon's Retail coming in, and we do expect a lot of other retailers as well to pick up that model, as well as telco companies. So it was a very interesting move for us, and to be the first mover in that market was definitely a good potential.
So typically first thing I do when I buy a new netbook is to get rid of the security, so it's eating my netbook's power. So your is different?
Yeah, we try to optimize the application as much as possible for a netbook. We know that the netbooks being sold today typically feature 2 gigabytes of memory or less. So we try to optimize the memory space that we use. So today we are targeting about 40 to 50 megabytes of memory consumption. But typically you would see an internet security application consume about 70 or 80, maybe even more, depending on the application. But not only that, we also try to optimize the hard disk I/O. So we try to use a very small I/O impact on the hard drive. So that means that the consumption of the PC resources is very small, and you won't actually feel the impact on the PC while you're using it. So even the boot time and so on won't extend that much while telling this security application.
That's good. So you actually use it on your netbook?
Yeah, I do.
Okay, cool. So what about AppUp? Is it all dancing and joy? Any obstacles on your way? Anything bad? Anything to say other devs?
I would say that porting into AppUp has been very easy for us.
Yeah,
sure.
Days, weeks.
We were just talking weeks, yeah. So we spent about 3 weeks development time getting into AppUp. But to be honest, what we've seen was the most difficult was the commercial side of it, because it's still in beta, and actually we were due to port in to AppUp just before the AppUp elements here.
Yeah.
But unfortunately we failed on the EULA part. So our EULA was too long to fit into Intel's system. As obviously we know for Intel, they're still developing the system as well, and they know that's a bug for them. And that definitely some bugs still around, but I think they're very quick at solving the issues they see, and with so much convergence happening in the market and everybody moving towards this opportunity, I definitely see that there's a potential and a will for Intel to solve all the issues on the AppUp port.
That's nice. And Mango version coming someday soon, maybe?
Yeah, I'll definitely see going forward towards Migo. I think definitely will try to push towards that as well. I mean, if we're talking 100 million devices for Intel Atom on Windows devices, then for Migo, I think it's going to be a lot more. You see the in-car navigation, the whole thing around the mobile phone as well. We know Nokia is coming out next year with Migo. We definitely see a lot of potential there on that market as well. I mean, Nokia alone is producing maybe 200-300 million devices a year. So definitely there is a huge market potential there to capitalize on if we can get into that space and utilize it properly.
Okay, thank you. So more developer interviews coming up next. This is Intel AppUp 11 and check it mobile, and behind the camera is Skippy from carrypad.com.
The Melrose beta, I guess, that Adobe is doing.
Right.
And so
so you're putting an air app here?
Exactly.
Wow.
Exactly. Yeah. So we submitted to them a while back, and so we're just waiting to hear the word now. Really, any minute that it's approved, and so we'll be official.
What's the app?
It's called You Need a Budget.
You Need a Budget. Okay. It's going to be. What does it do?
It's a personal budgeting application. So we just teach people how to become really, really good managing their money, just not blowing it all the time and paying off debt, stuff like that.
Yeah.
It's rocket science, and we just got it down there. Simple.
Why Air? Have you already got that app out there as an Air app?
Yeah.
We do, and we've been very pleased. So I'm the tech guy, right? I do all the coding, and we originally had a C# app. It was Windows only, and one of our common requests from our customers is, oh please, I really want it on my Mac. And so we were like, okay, we started looking at our options out there, and we looked at quite a few, cross-platform applications, and Air was the obvious one for us. But we were nervous because when we started doing this port, it was over a year ago. There's some Twitter clients in Air and things like that, and we just weren't sure that we could bet our whole business on this. I mean, we're a very small company. You're looking at the company, and so. We've been extremely pleased. So now we work on Linux, Mac, Windows, and it works. We're not inundated with support requests.
Are there already monetization channels for Air apps? Are there any already platforms out there that allow you to monetize?
Now there is, officially through Adobe with Melrose.
Right.
So, but before that, no, we wrote our own. So we have our own licensing scheme, and we had a little bit of experience with that with our C# app. But yeah, we rolled our own.
So handing that stuff off to Intel is going to be easy.
Yeah, exactly. And it was. I mean, it was quite. If they had this before, it would have been especially nice, right? But no, now that they do, and they're obviously promising us a much wider reach than we have now, with the App Store. So it was a very quick port. I mean, it took us almost no time at all.
So we spoke to a developer just a little while ago, and it seemed that this AppUp was the path of least resistance from where he was to an opportunity. Because he was already developing in C++ or something. It was a very easy opportunity for him to come from Windows Mobile into the AppUp store. Sounds like it's a very similar story with you guys as well.
Very much so.
Not just from a technology standpoint, but from a reach standpoint. Where we recruit single website owner affiliates, and we try and get them to push our software. Where if you have the AppUp store where you can just hand it off as one potentially huge port,
let's not be too positive, potentially, because at the moment there's not a lot of end users out there. There's not a lot of devices with the AppUp store.
Yes.
Do you have confidence that that's going to happen?
Well, to be completely frank, because it was so easy to do it, it was a risk that was an obvious risk to take. Right. So if we can really quickly move from an existing Air desktop application to get it in the Intel AppUp store, and we don't have to work for months to do that. It sounds like the win could be potentially huge. If it's not,
it was a couple days.
Right.
Or a couple of days
of work.
You've put a couple of days effort into getting.
Well, I put maybe.
I didn't put any effort.
Yeah, right. Exactly. It was less. I'd say. Probably less than a week in total. We estimated it would probably take a little bit more, but probably less than a week in total.
Have you had any problems? Are there any things in the process or in the AppUp store that you think should be improved?
Yeah, I mean, I'd say in looking at it, the registration process I think could be a little bit smoother.
They bounce you out to a browser to be a new user. We thought they could just do it in the right in the store. Just have you sign up right there. That was just kind of a point of friction, but that's small.
One thing I would like to see, I hear that it's going to be pre-installed on these netbooks, right? Which sounds great, but I really want to make sure that someone knows that it's pre-installed on their netbook. And I don't know that it necessarily means that it runs as the first thing that happens when they turn on their netbook. But at the same time, I'm also a little bit concerned if it's one icon in a sea of icons on the desktop.
If it gets hidden amongst the rest of the crapware.
Right.
That's also a thought that I had. Renee stood on stage today and said, I'm not sure if it's ASUS or ASUS that are going to have it pre-installed. She said there's going to be a button. I wasn't sure whether she meant a physical button.
That's what I thought too.
Or an on-screen icon. I have to double check it, because if it's a physical button,
now we're talking.
That's something special.
Conversion rate's going up with a physical button.
So that would be good feedback to the manufacturers.
Exactly. Well, she mentioned that there's going to be a button that's going to be on Samsung, I think is what she said.
I'm not 100% sure it really is going to be a button.
Me either. My eyes kind of got bigger.
Any other feedback for Intel, the AppUp team?
Let me think. We only had to do a resubmission one time so far, And so our submission process, we went through the Adobe side of things to submit, and that was all pretty frictionless, I'd say.
Yeah. So I don't understand too much about that, but within your Adobe development environment, is it very easy to push straight to AppUp now?
Well, it is.
Fill that in?
Yeah. Well, the way it works is once we integrate the Adobe, the Air SDK, they call it Melrose, but it's the monetization SDK that is compatible with Intel's AppUp store. We log on to our portal, upload our binary, and then I hit one button and say, yes, I would like this to be submitted to Intel. Yeah. And then it happens. Now, the part that had to happen before that, where I actually integrated the SDK and stuff like that, that was relatively painless as well. That was the part that was pretty quick. But yeah, the actual submission to both the storefronts, to Melrose and then by proxy to Intel, that was very quick.
I don't know about you, but it sounds to me like you're going to have a lot of competition in the App Store pretty quickly. Yes. It sounds like a very easy channel, right?
Right, exactly.
The Adobe Air thing is big news, right?
Exactly, it is. And honestly, if the platform itself, if Air does well, that's great for us because we bet our business on Air, so we want Air to do well. But also, we have experience competing in a very competitive space already. I mean, the personal finance software, we compete with giants, and we do very well. So I think we have a lot of confidence because of that we already stand out in a sea. And so I think even if there are 100 apps in the finance store, we already stand out in a bigger sea than that. So I'm not too nervous.
All right, well, good luck with that. You need a budget.
That's right. Exactly.
Thank you.
Thanks. You appreciate it.
Cool. What made you choose AppUp to do your project? Why you chose AppUp? Choose AppUp?
Because I think because this is a new market, and I feel I can get more in the little
early into the App Store.
Now it's little, but it growing. I can grow with this market.
Yeah. So you think there's an advantage to be in early and then to grow?
Yes.
Yeah. Did you have any problems with the process?
Only one problem at the beginning. The strange name of the product, Atom SDK. It disappoints me. I think this SDK to create applications based on Atom devices and only. But this SDK contains some special functions. After digging this area, I understand what this is not Atom, this is AppUp. SDK, and this is not just for Atom devices. Not different from writing code for PC. It's just simple, and after that I begin to write application committed to the AppUp, and now I have about 12.
You have 12 applications in AppUp.
Committed to AppUp.
Wow, well done. So do you think the SDK was good, or do you think there could be changes to the SDK to make it more attractive to developers?
Crazy.
Yeah?
Has some ways to improve SDK. For example, how to explain the pricing window, where I can not only sell application, I can submit a free application and sell some features.
Okay.
For example, this like our green application, my artist is free, but if a user wants to get more brushes, he can pay for feature.
Okay, so in-app monetization.
Yes.
In-app monetization features. Do you think that would be a good?
It can be integrated on a SDK level.
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah. Good. And so, what's the response been to your program, My Little Artist? You won best looking application. No, what was the
on the lifestyle applications and People's Choice.
People's Choice application. Yeah.
It has a big number of downloads.
Yeah.
Don't expect this.
Really?
I think it's too simple to be People's Choice, but due to simple maybe a reason.
Yeah. Do you have any advice to developers, small developers thinking of working to AppUp? Any tips? Anything you'd like to say to other developers?
Just try it, just begin.
Just start.
You will see it's easy, nothing special. You can open a new market for your applications, and it's great.
Yeah, I like to summarize that. It's easy and it's nothing special. This guy knows his stuff. Thanks. So it's Adrian Stevens of Panoramic Software. You've got some apps in the App Store already, or are you going through the process?
No, we're in the process of submitting 2 applications, so we're hopefully this week we'll have them both in there.
So we're asking a couple of questions to devs about AppUp. What attracted you to AppUp?
So the first thing that attracted me to AppUp was Intel itself. I'd actually worked with Intel several years back when they were involved in ARM development, and I know when they take on projects they go full force, and of course Intel's been very successful, so you know they're a smart horse to bet on.
Didn't they sell Xscale after a while?
They did. They did.
You don't want them to be selling AppUp.
No, but they gave us development kits, and they were fantastic for support and promotion back then.
So it was their support, promotional support, previous work with Intel that attracted you back to AppUp.
Exactly.
Okay. Have you had any problems at all with AppUp?
Yeah.
Anything that could be improved?
Definitely. So first things first, in terms of improvements, just a point-blank walkthrough on how to get your app up on AppUp would be fantastic. There's lots of details to learn, and you sort of have to dig through the forums to support to figure it all out. Yeah. Even just now, I was talking to Norman, and he was just clarifying some details on things I hadn't figured out. But that being said, they do have an excellent support system, so it is all there, but
it's just a learning process. Is the forum working for getting answers and stuff?
Forum is working. There's some excellent articles, but be prepared to commit some hours to it.
Yeah. Well, you're in business. You've got to commit some hours to it. Any other problems you have with AppUp, or anything you think that could be improved to attract new developers, more developers?
Well, one of the biggest hurdles for me, I won't say hurdle, but hindrances, was restricted to Visual Studio 2008. So I had to create new projects for everything. You know, you have to fit within their mold. I would like to see AppUp become more flexible, and it sounds like they're heading that direction, but right now you really have to work within their constraints.
Right, okay. What about this idea of developers are only going to come if the installed user base is already there? What do you think about that? Well, you're developing for a platform that hasn't got a big installed user base, so why did you do it?
Well, I'm fortunate. I'm coming from a Windows Mobile background, primarily. All my code is already in C++. It's Win32 code. It's not a big process for me to port. I can actually port some applications within a day or two. So it's sort of it's not a big risk for us. I can see from iPhone developers would be a bigger roadblock, right?
So this is like the path of least resistance for you, coming from Windows Mobile, right? Looking at all the other application channels out there, this is like the path of least resistance.
Well, exactly. It seems like an excellent way to get some extra revenue on our existing code, and for us, even if this is a small return, it's still worth it, and it's Intel, so long term it should do well.
Right. Okay. Any other questions? Who else we know? Do you have anything else you want to say, like Intel? Because we're going to do this is what we think that the developers want changed in AppUp. Yeah. So is there anything you want to say?
The biggest things for me were just the lack of proper, clear documentation, and also just their tools were unfortunately somewhat buggy. You submit your application, you can't submit it to the beta program right away. You have to log out, wait some time, log back in, then that option is there. I was talking to Norman earlier. I had done the beta process for one of my applications. I had made a mistake in my MSI. I got an error code back saying -1. So I just didn't know where to go from there. I'd searched the forums, and so this is perfect. I've come here and talked to them. This is fantastic, but I would have been writing them or posting and waiting for a response otherwise. So.
Yeah, more developer days like this would help?
Definitely.
Yeah.
And thanks to Intel. I mean, they've paid a substantial portion of this bill for this as well. So really, it's nice to see them going full force on this.
Yeah.